Thousands of vessels were manufactured by both the Axis and Allied powers during the Second World War. Many of these were built for long journeys across the vast oceans. Aircraft carriers, battleships, and cargo ships all played a vital role in the conflict. But there's one particular vessel which was arguably the most important boat of World War II. In today's video, we look at the Higgins Boat and why it was so pivotal to Allied victory during the war. If you enjoy this video and want to see more, hit that subscribe button. It's free and really helps the channel reach more history lovers like you. Prior to the war, the US Marine Corps were trying to identify a suitable boat to allow for troop landings on beaches. Andrew Higgins, the president of Higgins Industries, was contracted to create a suitable craft following his success in boats over shallow waters. His creation would lead to the LCP, known as the Landing Craft Personnel. This initial design, which appears much more like a small boat, could carry up to 12 men, although a larger version was created which held up to 24. Some of these initial vessels made their way to the British, who used them for commando raids on the European mainland. Further, the United States would use these to ferry troops ashore at Guadalcanal, but its huge drawbacks were the time it took for the men to exit the boat. They were heavily exposed to enemy fire, thus a new design was sought. The LCVP, or Landing Craft Vehicle and Personnel, was much larger. It sat at 11 metres or 36 feet in length and 3 metres or 10 feet in width. A 225 horsepower engine allowed for a top speed of a fully laden vessel of 10 miles or 16 kilometres an hour. Fuel capacity gave it a range of 100 miles or 160 kilometres, although many wouldn't need to travel that kind of distance. It was designed to carry up to 4 tons of varying cargo. This included up to 36 fully armed soldiers, or a jeep with additional soldiers, a small truck loaded with troops, or even just a large amount of supplies which could be pulled directly onto the invasion beach. It was mostly of wood construction, however the sides and the ramp at the front were reinforced with steel to protect the crew and troops from enemy fire. The crew itself consisted of 4 men. The coxswain was responsible for its movement, an engineer was also on board, with 2 additional men, one for the bow and one for the stern. At its rear were 2 large holes which allowed for mounting of 2 30 cal machine guns if needed. The main advantages for the Higgins boat over many other designs lay in 2 areas. The shape of the vessel, in which its stern rides much higher due to weight displacement, allowed for it to be grounded very high onto the shore. The propellers were also fixed higher than usual, and were able to operate in very shallow water. This meant that when it was time to leave the beach, it could easily travel backwards into deeper water and get away with relative ease. Additionally, the second advantage was the ramp. This design meant that the soldiers on board were protected from the enemy right up until the ramp was dropped. With such a wide space, the men could then disembark rapidly and get up to the beach and to cover quickly. Once full-scale production was underway, the Higgins boat was deemed a huge success. Some 23,000 were manufactured across the war, compared to only a couple of thousand of its predecessor. These landing craft were used in some of the most pivotal amphibious landings of the war, across the Pacific in Okinawa, Saipan and Iwo Jima, and in Europe they were seen in the landings of Sicily, the Italian mainland, southern France, and of course, most notably, on D-Day during the invasion of northern France. They were responsible for bringing hundreds of thousands of soldiers from troop carriers onto invasion beaches. Without the use of these boats, it's likely invasion strategies would need to have been altered to find a much better way to protect and bring troops ashore. Although it's not the most striking or fully armed craft of the war, even Dwight Eisenhower deemed it to be the most important vessel of the Second World War. Do you think the Higgins boat was the most important creation of the Second World War? If not, what do you think was? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to expand your knowledge and join the growing Premier History community.